father. With us now is Senator from Illinois, Democrat Tammy Duckworth. Senator Duckworth, thank you so much for being with us. We are sorry for what your state is going through this morning. The fact of these interactions with police that this suspect had, does this tell you that the laws on the books didn't work, or the right laws in Illinois are not on the books?
Well, what we need on the books is an all-out assault weapons ban, as well as an all-out ban on a high-capacity magazine. The city of Highland Park actually has an assault weapons ban in effect, but obviously this young man left the city and bought legally, with the help of his father, an assault weapon somewhere else. What this tells me is that we need better coordination between all the different databases that would set up a red flag. We recently passed in the bill, our gun reform legislation last month, additional funding to allow these databases to to invest in these databases so that they can communicate with each other more accurately. In Illinois, we have a firearm owner's ID card law. And that means that, everybody who wants to buy a firearm has to have that, has to pass background checks. But obviously, the reports sent forward by the Highland Park Police never made it to, for example, the other databases, and that this young man was able to pass multiple background checks.
Do you think the new law that you just passed in the Senate might have caught something along the way here?
I think that yes, I think that the additional funding that we have provided in the law would allow these databases so that we could catch more red flag incidents. But at the bottom line, get these assault weapons off the streets of our cities. I carried an assault weapon my 23 years in the Army. I fired them on a firing range. I know what they can do to a human body, and they don't belong on the streets of America. And in fact, since the assault weapons ban was allowed to expire, the number of mass shootings in this country has tripled. And then another characteristic of mass shootings is the presence of high-capacity magazines. And if you listen to that horrific video and the sound of the gunfire of this young man killing and massacring all these people, you'll hear that there's a pause where he was forced to change magazines, which gave people more time to run away. We need to get rid of the assault weapons as well as the high-capacity magazines.
You mentioned he fired 70 rounds, and you've heard it. You were just describing. What did that sound like to you in your experience?
Well, as I've said, it sounded like war. The last time I heard that, the sound of that rapid gunfire and that many rounds going on the 4th of July was actually Iraq. I never thought I would ever hear that again here on U.S. soil. And by the way, you don't hear that on a gun range. So when people say, oh, I need a high-capacity magazine because I like to shoot target practice, nobody does that on a gun range. And in fact, at the highest level of shooting competitions, swapping out magazines is part of the contest, and so no one needs a 50-round drum, no one needs a 30-round magazine, and even if you are a marksman, I'm a marksman. Real marksmen don't do that.
Senator, we learned overnight the identities of two more of the victims, two more of the people killed in Highland Park. Young parents, Irina and Kevin McCarthy, who were killed, we're showing their picture right now. Their young son, Aiden, 2 years old, survived. He was a child who, at the time we were told, was wandering, basically looking for his parents after it all happened. And now he has no parents. I know you have a 7-year-old child. How do you process something like that?
A 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. I hug my daughters as tightly as I can every single night. I was in the emergency operations center with the mayor when the police came in to brief on having found this young boy. In fact, he was pulled out from underneath his father, who was still bleeding, by Good Samaritans. And as they pulled him out, and then they went to work on his dad because his dad's leg was still bleeding. And then a couple scooped him up and took him to safety. And then his dad died on the scene. But yes, his dad did everything he could to protect his son and was successful in that. But after every one of these mass shootings, I found myself doom scrolling on my phone and looking for ballistic backpacks I could buy for my girls to wear and ballistic proof whiteboard markers for their schools. And the tragedy of all of this is that, these sites are bookmarked on my cell phone because I've done this multiple times. We have to get rid of assault weapons. We have to get rid of high capacity magazines. We can have sensible gun legislation, but it takes, right now it's going to take 51 senators to do that, and we don't have 51 Democratic senators who can do that, who can make that vote.
Senator Tammy Duckworth, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.